If you're using a batter, now a batter, you have to have something that's going to make it crisp. A lot of people use like soda or beer in their batter, and that gives it kind of the bubbles, it works with that batter to make it crunchy once it hits that fryer. So it's not just take something, put it put some breading on it and throw it in, and every item is separate. We're not using the same breading or coating that we would use on our jambalaya as we would use on our lobster, because it's totally different. Jambalaya is a rice, this one's a meat, so you have to figure out how am I going to get that to stick on there, what kind of crunches are going to have on there. So it is not just very bam, just let's see what happens.
There are so many different kinds of batters out there that you can make and try and, put on different things. So you have to just test it. But most of the time, your batter has to have some type of liquid, especially if it's like panko, the breadcrumbs. You have to have something wet to make it stick. It's gonna be used like a glue. And so if you're using, say you're using funnel cake batter, funnel cake batter works well on items that are kind of moist, but not completely dry. Like you couldn't use it on popcorn, but you could use it on a Snickers bar. Usually it has to be some kind of moisture to make a dry batter stick or a dry coating stick, and then something dry to make a wet batter stick.
It's a huge process. You have a product that, if it has to do with meat or if it has to do with a breading or whatever the product is, it just starts from there, and then from the background that we have through cooking, you figure out like what would go good with this. A little sweeter batter, a little spicier batter. What would bread this product really well? A lot of the batters don't do well, and so you have to go and experiment. But through all that experimenting over the years, we pretty much know what goes good with certain products, and so we can eliminate half of them and then have this group of batters and say, okay, well let's try breadcrumbs, for instance, or let's try a batter that has like a beer flavoring, because with a pork chop and a beer, you want something real special that can be uniquely tied together. And then, for instance, like the fried sweet Texas, that's a little more sweet, so we wanted something real neutral because the inside was real sweet with the pecan pie and the buttermilk pie and peach cobbler, so you wanted something neutral that could form around it. So it is a science. It's crazy. You think of something, and it takes so much time from when you think of it to the final product to experiment to make sure it fries correctly. So there's a lot that goes into it.
It all depends on the product. If you're using proteins or using vegetables. So basically, we start off we have a test kitchen in Addison, and we play with those items. Sometimes we batter it with a little bit of egg wash, and then put it in some flour, and then roll it in the product and fry it. Sometimes we just go directly. We freeze the product, and it being frozen allows us to drop it inside the batter and then fry it directly from freezer to fryer. So it all depends on the type of product you're using.
When you come up with an idea, you pretty much have to always change your way of thinking versus what you're frying. Sometimes you'll need something to protect it. Sometimes you'll need a batter. Sometimes you need just a batter. Sometimes you need a batter with crumbs. It just depends what you're going to fry. When I was frying the Girl Scout cookie, I knew that was going to be a hot mess in the fryer, so I had to put it in between two wontons to protect it. Each item is different. Sometimes you have to flour it first. I use a lot of egg beaters. Egg beaters is a genius idea because, first of all, you're working with a pasteurized product, so it's a healthier thing to do. And secondly, as soon as that egg beater hits the fryer, it gets hard like cement. So it kind of keeps it all together.